and I'll begin in just a moment. Ready?
Ready.
Ready. Thank you, everybody.
Ready.
Action.
It's recording, so here we go. Thank you, everybody, for coming to Vinyl Dreams in the Haight in San Francisco.
Hey.
Yay.
The coolest record store west of the Mississippi and possibly throughout the United States of America.
Yes.
And I want to thank Mike B. for being our host today, and Alex
Bell.
Wiley, our communications manager for Artists United, who's also connected with the store. I want to thank our board members and our members for being here, and I also want to thank our co-sponsors of this event, our partner organizations, Independent Art and Media, and Lisa Berger, Executive Director, who's also on the board of Artists United. And I'd also like to thank Media Alliance and Tracy Rosenberg, who is our partner as well. Thank you for co-sponsoring. So thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. We have we've been doing artist networking events all over the country and all over the world as part of Artists United. The organization itself is less than 2 years old, and in this time of great chaos in the world, it's comforting to know that there are organizations like ours which are creating beauty, order, and love everywhere we go.
Hip hip hooray.
Our intention is to create the largest movement of artists in all disciplines that the world has ever seen. And from the look of things, we are going to get our wish. We have, in less than 2 years, we have formed a national board of 44 people, most of whom are artists in all disciplines: musicians, dancers, writers, filmmakers, visual artists, animators, graphic designers, you name it, we have them. And we also have chapters in other countries. Just 2 weeks ago, we signed up Senegal as one of our latest chapters in Africa. I recently came back from China. We have a chapter in China. We had a very successful trip there. We signed up a person to be our representative in Shanghai. She's recruiting artists to be members. We have been tearing it up because I think what we do is we're hitting a nerve. People are looking for ways to get connected to each other and also to make a difference. And artists are among the most creative and visionary people in our society, and they are coming to Artists United because they're feeling that they need to be using their art to create social change, and that's one of the things that we do. We also help connect artists to each other so they can share resources, because our belief is that artists are rich in knowledge, wisdom, tools, research, resources, connections, and we are seeing the results of our efforts to bring them together. We have hundreds and hundreds of documented cases of artists benefiting from being part of our organization. They've been hired for jobs. They have been given opportunities to present their work. They have started collaborative efforts. They've consulted with each other on their projects. We've got dancers working with screenwriters. We've got musicians working with filmmakers. There's just an enormous amount of activity. Why is it important that Artists United exists? Well, I'll give you a few examples. Just this week, one of our partner organizations who's working in Indonesia ran into a problem getting some artists from Iran into Indonesia. And our board member, Lisa, connected us with this organization, and so she told them to talk to us. So they reached out to us, and we were able to connect them to our chapter head who's in Indonesia. And our chapter head in Indonesia happens to work in the office of the president of Indonesia. And so they got connected, and because of her efforts, the visas were issued for these artists who could not get into Indonesia.
Hey,
and
that's the work. That's action.
That's what we do. So we are the master connectors. We are here to connect artists to each other. We're here to connect organizations to each other. And we're here to connect countries to each other. Our vision is a worldwide network of artists in all disciplines. How are we making this happen? We're doing events like this one. We're bringing artists together to meet each other in person and form relationships. We're doing online educational content through our weekly television series, Artists United Television. We present information that artists need in their work, whether it's about running your art as a business, or how to promote yourself, or how to fundraise. We're trying to put this information in the hands of artists. I'll give you an example of how we work. Earlier this year, we have partners in Namibia, in Africa. They organized one of these artist networking events there, and there were about 30 young musicians, Namibian musicians, in that room. And we had 3 musicians, including 2 of our board members and a 3rd musician, in Oakland and Berkeley, California, on a internet connection. We did a panel discussion called The Art of Self-Promotion, DIY Promotion Tips for Artists. So the artists in the East Bay and California were sharing their wisdom and knowledge with the young musicians in Namibia via the internet. It was 10 a.m. in the Pacific time zone. It was 6 p.m. in Namibia time. And there was a live Q&A. The young musicians asked really great questions. And at the end, we asked them to stand up and face the camera so we could take their picture. And just the looks on their faces, it was elation. I felt so pleased because my vision is artists in all countries helping each other, exchanging knowledge, making the world a little bit smaller at a time where we really need that. We need to come together. So I want to thank all of you for coming here tonight. We have a special presentation tonight. We have Jake Janzen, who is an attorney. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Jake. He's going to say some remarks about law and art that should be very helpful for you if you're an artist in any discipline. Jacob Janzen, he's the founder of Start Art Legal. It's a law practice devoted to approachable and affordable representation of artists and creative professionals. You had me at affordable. He's at the intersection of art and law. He tries to balance the inequities common to creative markets through education and advocacy. Mm-hmm. And to that end, he offers legal and business workshops, in-person tutorials, and an array of more traditional legal services. So if you need help forming a business or drafting or negotiating a contract, registering a copyright or a trademark, help with your taxes or your estate planning, or resolution of a dispute, Start Art Legal is the place to go. It's your one stop. Jake is a licensed California attorney. If you want, I will give you his bar number. It's here in his bio. Talk to me later. And he's also a participating member of California Lawyers for the Arts, which is an organization we really love, part of their Modest Means Incubator program. He has his MA in art business from Sotheby's Institute of Art, Los Angeles, and a JD from DePaul University College of Law in Chicago. And a BA in English Literature from San Francisco State University. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Jacob Janzen.
Hey, Jake!
Thank you, Holly. Does it work to move this? Can I sit on this stool? That's ruin our picture.
No, you can play.
Can I just do that?
Totally. Bring it on.
Thanks. Sorry, let me know if I'm out of the picture. Cool. Thanks, Holly. Thanks, Artists United, everybody who's here tonight. Vinyl Dreams put this all together. I won't talk too terribly long, but it's an honor to be here and talk a little bit about art law. I guess I'll add to Holly's very flattering bio a little bit about the sort of the lens through which, or the philosophy through which I have created my law firm and practice law. And I think we're all familiar with the law firms that, brag about zealous advocacy and fight for you and, level the playing field and it's winners and losers. Part of what I do is, fighting for you and zealous advocacy and, dispute resolution. But the other part of what I do is fighting for you and leveling the playing field and balancing imbalances through education and empowerment. And so I think that's why Artists United is a very good fit for me, particularly, because I really try to focus a lot on educating and empowering my clients. And what that actually ends up looking like, how that actually happens is through various workshops that I do, where certain legal topics come up and we'll discuss them for an hour and a half or whatever. I also do, hi guys. I also do individual tutorials with clients. So, for instance, just last week I had a client who, she says, you know, I gotta register my copyrights. And here's the catch. I don't want to pay you to register my copyrights over and over and over again. She's like, I want you, this is how she said, I want you to teach me how to fish. I said, perfect. That's exactly what I want to do. So we set up an hour and we went step by step through exactly how she could register her own copyrights. She took really good notes. I think she's in really good hands. I think she knows what she's doing. She has my number if she needs me. Anyway, so half of what I do is this fighting winners and losers part, and the other half is really education and empowerment and trying to really balance some of the imbalances that we see. And in the art world, there's huge imbalances because it's one of the largest unregulated markets that we have, and it really is it's a financial market, and there's a lot of money involved and there's a lot of power that can be up for grabs, and there's some imbalances that need to be worked on. So anyways, so that's the lens through which I practice law and art law. And Holly's asked me tonight to maybe give you guys some takeaways of what I think artists should know about law and business. And some of these ideas that I jotted down are going to be familiar to you, and some of them maybe are a little bit new. I hope some of them are new. But they're always things that you need to keep in mind as an artist and as a creative entrepreneur or creative professional. So maybe I'll just dive into those. So the first kind of takeaway that I wanted to leave you with tonight is this notion of getting used to the idea that your art practice is a business. I think in art schools, a number of you have probably been through art schools. You can attest that they don't really teach law or business. And there's a very good noble reason for this, right? In law school, they don't teach you at all how to actually be a lawyer. They just teach you how to read the law and then get a job at a firm. But in art school, they don't teach you this because, well, law, money, business, these all get in the way of creativity, right? And we want to have our art schools be these havens of creativity. And that's great while you're there, and then once you're done, it's a problem. So being comfortable with the idea that you're in a business, you need to get comfortable with the idea that there really is money involved, and you really are worth something, and you really need to think about valuation and think about standing up for yourself and asking for what you want and what you need, and you need to value the fact that you cannot be creative if you aren't fed or clothed or housed. These are things that have to happen in order for the creativity to happen.
I'm naked and hungry.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's the kind of big one, and maybe we all know that, and maybe it doesn't have a lot to do with law, but it really is. I mean, the art market is a huge multi-billion-dollar business, and you're part of it, and you need to stand up and assert yourself and be part of that. So kind of in that same vein, and this is maybe more legal or more business related, I would encourage you all to get familiar with, or at least get a little bit educated about, the various different business entities that are available to you in California, in the United States, internationally. A big part of being a business person is determining where your liabilities are and how to do your taxes and how to separate liabilities from one part of your life from another part. And so, maybe just being a sole proprietor is working for you now, but if things ramp up or if things get, grow and you need a little bit more protection from certain liabilities or need a little bit of tax help, maybe you need to consider forming an LLC, a limited liability company, or incorporating. Maybe you're ready to start your own not-for-profit organization, or maybe you have a project that is perfect for a not-for-profit organization to fiscally sponsor. So those are all things, just concepts to get familiar with, like what are the different legal business entities that I can form. And I mean, we're in business, so like these things apply and you can use them all. My next kind of big one, and I run into this all the time with clients, is and I just have to say, get your copyrights registered. Copyright happens automatically. So once the paint's dry, once it's fixed in tangible form, copyright's automatic. But there's so many benefits that come with registering it with the government with copyright. You can go to copyright.gov and get your copyrights registered. There's so many benefits to registering your copyrights that it kind of makes the sort of the automatic copyright look kind of weak. And it's registering really is valuable. So, and I'll just say a few quick words about why registering your copyrights is valuable. The first big reason is because once your copyrights are registered, that allows you to get into federal court. So if somebody's infringing on your copyright, you can take them to court, or at least threaten to take them to court, which is probably more realistic. The other really big benefit is that once your copyrights are registered, you're entitled to what's called statutory damages. And statutory damages are just amounts written into the law that say when there's an infringement, this is the amount that you're due, per infringement. That number ranges from, I think it's $750 to $30,000 per infringement. If it's found that it's wanton and willful infringement, that number goes up to $150. Of course, we're talking about the United States here. But those are big numbers because without those statutory damages, the only remedy you have for somebody infringing your work is what's called actual damages. And that's where you can show how much you actually lost and how much they actually earned. And then, because you can't take them to court, you can ask them nicely, please pay me that amount. And they'll say no. And then the other big benefit is attorney's fees. Into those statutory damages are written attorney's fees. And that's huge because people like me get paid and people like me actually work with you. Without attorney's fees, attorneys won't take your case. So register your copyrights. And that's something that you can have an attorney do for you. You can learn the system yourself. It is a government website and there are some fees involved. So there's a whole language involved. But by all means, get to know copyright law, get to know how to register your copyrights, and do it if you can. Considering that there is a fee and there is time involved, I generally tell clients, pick the three things you think that some clothing store is going to steal. Pick your top favorites or whatever, or the song that you're sure is going to show up in a Netflix. I shouldn't name certain companies, but
Why not?
yeah,
Liability.
Yeah, I won't. No names.
Defaming.
Urban Outfitters. Okay.
Or put a bunch of songs into a medley where you can copyright all of them at one time.
Well, we can talk about that. There's ways to copyright multiple works at the same time. With digital photography, you can copyright up to $750 on the same application. With visual and musical works, if there's an overarching theme, there's a whole bunch of rules. But basically, if it's on an album, you can do it on the same application. And if you talk to me, we can talk about how to do that and how to make that cheaper for you and more feasible. I'm flying through these. Am I talking way too fast?
No.
So, I
We're
had a question about
understanding.
attorney's fees. You said first infringement, or if it's egregious, like $150,000.
Mm-hmm.
And then in addition to attorney's fees, or less?
Yeah, that's the statutory. That's the damages that would be paid to the copyright owner.
So then, plus your attorney's fees.
And the fees are on top. Yeah.
Like your fees don't come out of the 150.
No.
Right.
My next big one, and I mean we've all heard this, is get it in writing, right? So much of the art world is done on handshake deals, and we all want to pretend like there's not money involved, and we're friends and we all trust each other, and it's unfortunately I don't know, we're all actually people, and getting it in writing is so important. And even if here's nowadays you can get tons of form contracts and things online, and that's great. It'll save you a lot of money. You won't have to hire somebody to write you a contract. I would, however, caution that a lot of what is online is this sort of lowest common denominator stuff that doesn't necessarily apply to what you want, and it may expose you to liabilities you're not interested in being exposed to. I sort of selfishly have to chuckle because a lot of form contracts lead to business for me because people think that they're saving money and they think that they're taking the faster route, and they use the form contract or they use the LegalZoom contract, or I shouldn't name companies, but they use the online platform, and then it leads to problems, and then they come to me. And unfortunately, it would have been cheaper if they had come to me first, but whatever. If you're going to use a form contract, at least have some sort of legal professional look it over and devote half an hour to an hour to just telling you what's in it, and get to know those concepts, get to know those different clauses, and get familiar with what you're doing, because it's definitely true that in law, specific words mean specific things that you may not think that they mean, and so that's just the caution. Get it in writing, but also understand the writing as best you can. And if somebody's presenting you with a contract, by all means, find an attorney that can, spend 20, 30 minutes looking it over and just give you like red flags. Just be like, you don't want to sign this contract because of this one thing right here, something like that. So you don't necessarily know what rights you're giving away or what liabilities you're exposing yourself to, and yeah, it's just good business. Finally, so my final sort of takeaway is, and I'm shocked at how many artists are not familiar with this, is the concept of moral rights. Get to know what moral rights are. Some of you are nodding because you know exactly what moral rights are, but it's new to a lot of artists. And moral rights basically don't come up in the United States very much because they don't have a very long history in the United States, and we are very much money-oriented and personal property-oriented culture. But moral rights are sort of those rights that you have beyond the actual object, those rights that you have beyond the money-making ability of the work. The rights to attribution, to have your name on it. The rights to discredit something, to say, nope, that's changed so much, I don't want my name on it anymore. The right to not have something destroyed. We just saw in Brooklyn, the 5 Points case, there was a very famous graffiti mecca where all the graffiti artists would make beautiful murals, and people would travel from around the world to see it. And sure enough, the owner was like, I'm tearing this building down and I'm going to build condos, so he went and whitewashed everything. Well, 150 grand for each mural he whitewashed.
Okay.
$6.7 million. It's a big thing, and the artists have a right to at least this sort of due process for when something's removed. So just get familiar with the idea of moral rights, because it's I've talked a lot about the money side of things and the law side of things and the importance of this and that, and but we all have a legacy and we create these works not to be altered and not to be destroyed or whatever. So moral rights are a huge one. I had a client locally who created a memorial to homosexual victims of the Holocaust, and it's a beautiful work. You can see it here in the Castro, and it's a Holocaust memorial. And recently was convinced that a number of different neighborhood organizations were going to alter the work and alter the surroundings and alter everything in a way that would ultimately sort of destroy the site-specific nature of her work and the sites, the message that she was trying to convey. And through the use of moral rights, I'm talking about Visual Artists' Rights Act and other moral rights concepts throughout internationally. We're able to stop some pretty big forces, right up to the mayor's office. And say, look, the artist has a say. The artist can be a part of what happens to this work, and that's a very powerful, cool kind of concept. It's a great strength for artists that a lot of artists don't know about. Don't go running crazy with moral rights. But moral rights is a great concept to get familiar with and to understand. And that's sort of like the big kind of takeaways I have. Obviously there's 10,000 art/law topics that can be discussed. Trademarks I didn't get into, or all kinds of things, or cultural heritage and all kinds of stuff. But I'd be happy to take questions individually or whatever. And
Sorry, is it closed?
I'm just really excited to be joining Artists United and to be everything. Thank you to Holly. Thank you everybody.
Right up here. Jake, can you just let people know how can they find you? What's your website address?
startartlegal.com, or you can find me on Instagram at startartlegal, STARTARTLEGAL. Right?
Very good. You spelled it right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jake, for coming and speaking with us
My
tonight.
pleasure.
So I want to thank everybody again for coming to this Artists United Artist Networking event. We do these all over San Francisco Bay Area, but also around the country and around the world. We have some upcoming events in New Orleans, Boston, Atlanta. We just did one in China. We have one coming up in Warsaw, Poland. And then there's many, many more, maybe about 25 events this year. If you're interested in organizing an event, we can work with you. You can also get involved if you haven't signed up yet on our email list. Please sign in. Let us know how we can stay in touch. If you sign up, you will be you'll get a free membership in Artists United, and you'll be able to access our online educational information. We're also building an online platform that will connect all the artists who are in our network. At this time, we have 16,000 people signed up on our email list. So please do sign up, and you'll be first in line when our online platform launches. It'll give everybody a chance to create a personal profile page, offer what it is that they have that they're willing to share with others in the network, ask for what they need from others in the network, and also begin to work with others on issues to advocate for the rights of artists. Our focus at the early stages when we're just developing the organization are on housing for artists. That's the main thing. We're organizing a workshop this fall with the San Francisco Public Press. It'll be in Oakland. It's focused on artists, housing, and homelessness. So things like this, if you sign up, we'll be able to stay in touch with you about that. We're a nonprofit organization. If you'd like to support our work, you can donate online. Our website address is artistsunited.net. That's artists, plural, united.net. We're about to launch a $50,000 campaign that'll run through the end of the year. You can donate online. And we ask for your help in any way that you are motivated to support us. We need partners. We need help spreading the word. And we also like to feature artists at our events. We also like to have speakers at the events and also online on our weekly television show. So if you have ideas for people that we should interview, that would be great. And if you know artists in other countries, please do let us know. Our goal is to have an Artists United representative in every country of the world and to unite artists worldwide. So thank you everybody for coming. And I want to give one more shout out to our co-sponsors, Media Alliance and the Independent Arts and Media. And I also want to thank again Vinyl Dreams for
Vinyl
being here in the Haight, on Haight Street, and please do come in. They just got a shipment of 17, what was it? How many records, Mike?
Almost
2,000 new vinyl records from an estate that's a dream estate. And they're on sale. You can buy them. You can take one of them home. So, and also if, Alex, you were waving something at me. Was that the...
There's a donation jar just right there on the front desk if you'd like to donate.
If you want to donate anything to tonight to help us cover the cost of food and drink, that's it's anything you want to give. It's for a good cause. And if you want to get in touch with me, Holly at artistsunited.net. All right, thank you all.
Artists United!